Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're cutting through the noise to explore a really fascinating framework. It promises to unlock your creative potential. Think Bigger, laid out in the groundbreaking book by Sheena Iyengar.
It really is groundbreaking.
Yeah, for so long creativity has felt like this mysterious gift almost, reserved for a select few geniuses who just get struck by lightning.
That's the common idea, definitely.
But our mission today is to show you how Think Bigger completely flips that script. It reveals that creativity isn't magic at all. It's actually a learnable skill.
A roadmap, really.
Exactly, a deliberate roadmap for problem solving that, well, anyone can master.
And what's truly transformative about this book, I think, is how it challenges these deeply ingrained beliefs we have about imagination.
Yeah.
Modern neuroscience, particularly, in learning and memory, now lets us actually see how imagination works in the human mind. It's not a black box anymore. So this deep dive will guide you through the practical steps, the how-to, for deliberately forming and cultivating creative ideas.
We've pulled together a whole stack of insights from the book. Lots of surprising facts, compelling stories that will empower you, hopefully, to generate, identify, and really cultivate your best ideas, no matter your circumstances.
It's very practical stuff.
So let's unpack this. Get ready for some potentially big eye-openers about your own creative power.
Let's do it.
Okay, so our journey into Think Bigger starts by kind of dismantling the foundations of how we've, well, misunderstood creativity for generations.
Right. Busting the myths.
First up, that enduring myth of the lone genius. Think about the iconic Statue of Liberty. You probably imagined the sculptor, Bartholdi, having this sudden single flash of genius, right? Like it just appeared to him, fully formed.
That's the story we often hear, but the book shows a really different picture. It was much more strategic.
Strategic how?
Well, it's a powerful insight. True innovation, it rarely emerges from nothing, from a vacuum. Bartholdi didn't just conjure Lady Liberty out of thin air. He was a master synthesizer.
Synthesizer, meaning?
Meaning he combined existing things. He drew inspiration from those colossal tomb sculptures in ancient Egypt, like at Abu Simbel,
Okay.
and a competition for a Suez Canal lighthouse. That gave him the idea for a giant figure holding a torch.
Ah, okay, I see the connection.
The pose itself came from a painting, La Vérité, by Jules Lefebvre, The Crown, adapted from a 5-franc coin with the goddess Libertas.
No way.
And the face, get this, it was based on his own mother, Charlotte.
His mother. That's amazing. So it was like a collage almost.
Exactly, a mosaic of existing elements pieced together brilliantly.
So that black box of creativity.
Uh-huh.
It's not magic. It's about consciously or maybe unconsciously drawing on what you already know and then deliberately combining those existing pieces in a new, meaningful way. It sounds almost simple when you put it like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but the implications are huge. It democratizes creativity in a way.
Yeah. And this principle, it extends even to the most celebrated artists, right? Like Picasso.
Absolutely. We like to think painting a masterpiece is totally different from, say, writing a grocery list.
Right.
But the book makes it clear, even the greatest artistic creations feel familiar because they are built from existing pieces. Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, that foundational cubist painting, it wasn't pulled from nowhere. It masterfully combined Henri Matisse's use of color volumes with elements from an African valley mask he'd seen.
And Matisse himself.
Matisse, who Picasso learned from, openly cited his inspirations. Cézanne's The Bathers, Persian miniatures. It's a chain, you see, a chain of strategic combination.
The book calls them strategic copiers. Sounds a bit provocative.
It is, but it's meant to be. They learned from successful examples, they figured out what worked, they imagined new ways to use those pieces and then combine them. It creates something new and meaningful.
So it's not about plagiarism, obviously. It's about building on what came before, on the collective human knowledge.
Precisely. Innovation, right at its core, is nothing more and nothing less than a new, useful combination of old ideas. Ideas that come together to solve a complex problem.
A new, useful combination.
That's the definition. And it's revolutionary because it means innovation isn't about conjuring something from nothing. It's about mastering the art of synthesis, strategically combining different elements. And that's a skill anyone can cultivate.
It reminds me of that Schumpeter idea, right?
Like,
about combining things already within reach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Joseph Schumpeter, it echoes that perfectly.
Okay, let's tackle another big one. Isaac Newton and the apple. That aha moment. Does a flash of insight, like magic, really lead to groundbreaking discoveries? We love that
So I
swing.
do love it, but the reality, again, is actually more compelling because it's actionable.
Actionable.
Yes. The book looks at Newton's own account, other historical records. Newton didn't suddenly discover gravity when the apple fell.
He didn't.
No, scientists knew about objects attracting each other for centuries, way back to Archimedes. What Newton discovered was the precise mathematical formula that explained it.
The formula.
And he did that over 2 decades, standing on the shoulders of giants, as he put it, Galileo, Kepler. It was methodical, persistent work, not a random apple-induced epiphany.
20 years.
Hmm.
Not quite a flash of insight then.
Not quite. And the implication is profound.
Mhm.
These aha moments aren't random lightning strikes. They're the result, the culmination of deep engagement and focused effort over time.
That's a really powerful idea, that even the aha is built on methodical work. So if these insights aren't just random flashes, does that truly mean anyone, like regardless of background, can learn to be creative? How does the book back that up?
Absolutely. It thoroughly debunks that popular myth of right-brained creative types versus left-brained analytical types. You know those online quizzes?
Oh yeah, I've taken a few. Probably told me I was right-brained.
Well, MRIs show that when you're thinking, your entire brain lights up. Both sides, left and right, are constantly used working together.
So you can't really separate creativity and analysis when you're solving a problem.
Impossible to disentangle them. And studies show the only personality traits consistently found among creative people are curiosity and persistence.
Curiosity and persistence.
And those are traits you can absolutely cultivate. It doesn't matter what some quiz says.
Okay, that's encouraging. What about brainstorming? You know, it's been around forever, since 1938, Alex Osborne. It's the go-to, right? Get a team in a room.
It's the default, yeah. But the book argues it's often less effective than we assume.
Why is that?
Well, brainstorming usually only draws from the direct experience of the people actually in the room. That inherently limits your thinking to in-the-box solutions.
Right, you're limited by who's there.
And it can lead to things like groupthink, self-censorship. People might hold back data, or everyone anchors on the first idea thrown out, or they just choose what seems easy or convenient.
So what's the alternative?
The book champions drawing on the knowledge of all humanity throughout history, real out-of-the-box thinking. It suggests that while something like design thinking is good for understanding customers and prototyping, Think Bigger provides a more robust, deliberate replacement for that brainstorming part. It's about tapping into a much wider pool of ideas.
That makes sense. Tapping into everything, not just the room. So this links to another point, doesn't it? About quantity versus quality. More ideas aren't always better. And maybe more choices aren't always better either.
Exactly. You'd assume unlimited choice is motivating, right? More options, more freedom.
Seems logical.
But the book highlights a fascinating paradox here. Sheena Iyengar herself did the famous JAM study.
Ah, yes, the JAM study. Tell us about that.
Okay, so she set up tasting booths in a grocery store. One had 24 different kinds of jam. The other had only 6.
Okay. 24 versus 6.
Now, the table with 24 jams attracted more people. About 60% of shoppers stopped, but only 3% actually bought any jam.
Only 3%. Wow.
But at the table with just 6 jams, fewer people stopped, about 40%, but a much higher proportion, 30%, actually bought jam.
30%. So way more people bought jam when they have fewer choices.
Exactly. Too many choices led to cognitive overload, paralysis. Basically, no choice being made at all.
That's so counterintuitive. I know I've felt that paralysis scrolling through streaming services.
Yeah.
Too much choice. I just give up.
We all have. And research by George Miller supports this. People can generally only keep about 7 items, give or take 2, in their working memory before overload kicks in.
7 plus or minus 2, the magic number.
Kind of. And this concept is crucial for innovation. Artists, musicians, they get this intuitively. Think about jazz musician Wynton Marsalis.
Okay.
Jazz seems like the freest music, right?
Right.
But Marsalis points out it absolutely thrives on restrictions, on structure. Without constraints, he says, it just sounds like noise.
Interesting. Freedom needs structure.
Freedom needs structure to produce something meaningful. That's the takeaway.
And this is where the Think Bigger method really comes in. It deliberately balances that freedom of thought with a guiding structure.
Yes, using 3 specific tools.
Right. The tools, what are they again?
First, the choice map. Think of it like your personal library for the problem where you store all the pieces.
Okay, choice map.
Second, the big picture score. This is for your selection criteria. It considers what everyone involved wants, all the stakeholders.
Big picture score. Got it.
And third, the third eye test. This helps you see your final idea through other people's minds to refine it.
Choice map, big picture score, third eye test.
Yeah.
They're designed for quality over quantity, you said.
Precisely.
All right, let's dive into the 6 steps of Think Bigger in action. Step 1. Choose the problem. This sounds obvious, but the book says it's crucial and often rushed.
Incredibly important. It's about finding a problem you genuinely care about, and just as critically, one you feel you can actually solve, or at least make progress on.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, during the early COVID-19 pandemic, a great example. They started with this massive, overwhelming problem, the global pandemic. What can we even do?
Wait, where do you even start?
Exactly. But instead of trying to tackle everything, they smartly narrowed it down. They focused on a solvable piece, creating a simpler, more portable ventilator. They called it Vital, using only readily available parts because supply chains were breaking down.
So they defined it very specifically.
Very specifically, how can we create a ventilator that will help alleviate the ventilator shortage? That focus was key.
And the book emphasizes using how questions, right? Open-ended ones, not questions that kind of sneak the solution in already.
Exactly. And you use what they call a step analysis. It looks like an upside-down pyramid to broaden or narrow your problem until you find that sweet spot. Manageable, but still impactful.
Making it wider or narrower.
Until it feels right. The principle is think small to ultimately think bigger.
Like Reed Hastings and Netflix.
Perfect example. He revolutionized home movies, but his initial problem wasn't that huge. It was solving his own annoyance. Getting hit with a $40 late fee for returning Apollo 13.
$40. I'd be annoyed too.
Right. Solving that smaller personal problem first built the foundation, gave him the foothold to tackle the much bigger industry problems later. Decomposing the big problem makes it manageable.
Tackling bite-sized pieces first. But how do you know if it's the right problem for you? Is it just about solvability?
Solvability is part of it, but passion is huge. The book talks about the passion test.
The passion test.
It involves repeatedly pitching your problem statement, like in an exercise they do at Columbia Business School called the Innovation Marketplace. You keep saying it, refining it, seeing if talking about it energizes you or if you start to feel bored or drained.
So you test your own commitment.
Exactly. The JPL team apparently repeated their problem statement out loud every single day, like a mantra, to stay focused and motivated. If you're not passionate, you probably won't stick with it when things get tough.
Makes sense. Okay, step 2. Break down the problem. Once you've chosen your problem, you break it down into sub-problems. No more than 5 major ones.
Right, about 5 major sub-problems. And the book makes an important distinction here. This isn't like traditional business analysis models, MECE, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive.
Yeah, where everything fits neatly into separate boxes.
Or SWOT analysis. Those models aim for perfectly separate parts. But the book argues real-world problems aren't like that. Things are messy, interconnected, overlapping.
Okay, so the sub-problems can overlap.
Yes, that's key. Think about Jeff Bezos starting Amazon. He didn't just say, I'll sell books online. He broke it down first. How can I make money using the internet? That was broad. Then he narrowed it to selling products. Then he defined criteria for what kind of product, non-perishable, consistent quality, easy to ship, etc. That led into books.
But only after checking out the competition, right?
Exactly. Only after observing existing online bookstores and seeing their flaws, like getting a badly damaged book delivered himself. Apparently, Isaac Asimov's Cyber Dreams, that detailed deconstruction, understanding the sub-issues, was vital.
So how do you understand those sub-problems deeply?
You talk to people. Insiders, first experts in the field. The book mentions talking to the National Federation for the Blind if your problem is about vacation planning for blind people. Makes sense.
Right. Go to the source.
And most importantly, talk to the users. Get detailed accounts of their actual experiences, their pain points, not just what they say they want in a survey.
What they really do and feel.
Yes. And then you talk to outsiders, people with no direct experience in that specific field.
Outsiders, why?
They might have less depth on the specifics, but they offer crucial breadth. They bring fresh eyes, unconstrained perspectives that insiders might be too close to see. They haven't drunk the Kool-Aid, so to speak.
Okay, fresh eyes. And the goal is the 80% test.
Right. It's a guideline, not a hard rule. Ask yourself, if I solve all these sub-problems I've identified, have I solved at least 80% of my main overall problem? It's a judgment call to make sure your breakdown is comprehensive enough.
Got it. Okay, step 3. Compare wants. Also called the big picture score. This is where emotions come in.
Very much so. Remember David Hume. Reason is, and ought only to be the slave of the passions. Our wants, our desires, our motivations, they explain why we're solving a problem. They're powerful
So
drivers.
the big picture score helps capture that.
Exactly. It helps you define what a successful solution should feel like. And crucially, from three perspectives: your own wants, your target audience's wants, and the wants of third parties, allies, competitors, regulators, anyone else affected.
Own wants, audience wants, third-party wants.
And you do this before you start generating ideas. You predefine your selection criteria. This is huge for controlling unconscious bias.
Yeah.
You decide what good looks like up front.
Pre-committing to criteria. Can you give an example of how wants shift or influence things?
Think about Bill Gates and early Microsoft. Initially, his want was for everyone to buy the Altair computer because he thought his basic software was tied exclusively to that hardware.
Okay, sell the hardware.
But then users started pirating his software, copying it onto other machines, not just the Altair.
Oh, he hated that.
He did. Initially, he saw it purely as theft, but then he had this massive realization. His want shifted. He saw the incredible opportunity. He accidentally had a software monopoly. All these different small computers were running his BASIC.
So the want changed from selling specific hardware.
To making his software ubiquitous, running on any hardware. That pivot, driven by a shift in his perceived want or goal, fundamentally shaped Microsoft's entire future. It shows how identifying your feelings, your wants, can actually control bias better than pretending to be purely logical.
Wow, that's a great example. It happens in art, too.
Absolutely. The book mentions John Singer Sargent and his famous Madame X portrait. He originally painted her with one strap of her dress suggestively drooping off her shoulder.
Oh, scandalous for the time.
Very. He wanted to show, in his words, unpaintable beauty and hopeless laziness. But the public and the gallery were shocked. They hated it.
So what did he do?
He had to repaint the strap back onto her shoulder. He had to sacrifice part of his artistic want to satisfy the wants of his audience and the gallery. It's always a negotiation.
A negotiation of wants. Okay, on to step 4. Search in and out of the box. We're back to the choice map, laying out the problem and subproblems. Now it's time to find tactics, precedents. How do you search effectively? There's so much information out there.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming. But a key revelation here is that true innovation often comes from being humble, from being willing to learn from others, not assuming you know it all.
Humility. Okay.
The book talks about the Trotter Matrix at GE, created by Lloyd Trotter. It's basically an early version of the choice map.
Trotter matrix.
Trotter encouraged different GE factories to, quote, steal shamelessly from each other's best practices, even across totally different industries within GE, like jet engines learning from lighting.
Steal shamelessly. I like that.
Jack Welch loved it too and expanded it company-wide. He even started including external sources like learning about diversity programs from Xerox.
So looking beyond your own immediate world is critical.
Absolutely critical. Look at Leonardo da Vinci. He filled notebooks with amazing ideas because he explored wildly diverse fields: anatomy, engineering, art, botany. He made connections others completely missed. He wasn't necessarily the top expert in all those fields.
Totally connect to the dots.
He connected the dots. That was his genius. So you search in domain within your industry and out of domain, totally outside it.
Like Henry Ford.
Perfect example again. He looked at Oldsmobile's early assembly line, that's in domain, another car maker.
Right.
But the real breakthrough came from out of domain, the Swift slaughterhouse in Chicago. He saw their moving disassembly line for carcasses
Disassembly.
and flipped the idea for his moving assembly line for cars. That out of domain connection was revolutionary.
Wow. Okay, so how do you capture these ideas when searching?
The book suggests using simple micronotes. Just capture the essence of the tactic and its benefit. Keep it concise.
Micronotes.
And when searching online, say, Google, try to be domain agnostic. Frame your search broadly. Instead of, how do bicycle companies reduce costs? Search, how do we make blank cheaper for the consumer? You might find answers from airlines, software, food production, anywhere.
Broaden the search. What about talking to people?
That's where idea working comes in. It's different from general networking.
Idea working.
Instead of just chatting broadly, you have targeted, high-quality conversations. You ask experts specific questions about tactics that could solve your specific subproblems.
Okay, targeted questions.
And here's the key part. At the end of the conversation, you ask them for the names of 3 more people you should talk to.
The multiplier effect.
Exactly. This builds diverse, weak ties connections with people outside your usual circle. Research shows these weak ties are critical for innovation because they expose you to totally new information and perspectives you wouldn't normally encounter.
Like Hedy Lamarr.
Fantastic example. The actress Hedy Lamarr, during World War II, invented frequency hopping technology to guide Allied torpedoes to stop the Nazis jamming the signals.
Amazing story.
And her inspiration. It came from understanding how player pianos worked, synchronizing paper rolls. A totally unrelated domain. That's the power of weak ties and connecting disparate ideas. This method makes it easier to talk across different fields.
Okay, that's powerful. Step 5, choice map, the combination step. This is where you bring all those tactics together.
This is where the synthesis happens. You've gathered all these pieces, in domain, out of domain. Now you combine them. The book uses the analogy of Lou Jordan's song Beans and Cornbread, two very different things that make a great combination.
Beans and cornbread. Okay.
Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent civil disobedience movement is a profound example of this combination principle.
How so?
His problem was immense. How do I help the Indian people gain independence from the British Empire? He didn't invent nonviolence, but he combined existing tactics brilliantly.
Where did he draw from?
He drew from the English suffragette movement, people like Pankhurst, for the tactics of nonviolent protest and civil disobedience.
Okay, suffragettes.
From the writer Leo Tolstoy, he learned methods for training followers in discipline and self-sufficiency.
Tolstoy.
And from the ancient Indian tradition of the holy man, the ascetic figure, he developed the concept of satyagraha, or truth force.
So, English protest tactics, Russian philosophical training, Indian spiritual tradition.
Exactly. He fused these incredibly disparate elements into something entirely new, a movement that crossed cultural and geographic lines and changed the world. Built from existing forms, but combined in a novel way.
That really illustrates the power of it. And didn't Poincaré, the mathematician, say something about this?
Yes, Henri Poincaré, whose work influenced Einstein. He emphasized that the most fruitful, the most creative combinations often come from elements drawn from domains that are very far apart. Don't just combine things that are obviously related.
Look far afield for the best ingredients. It's like a creative explosion waiting to happen.
It is, and the Choice Map tool lets you visualize and generate potentially thousands of combinations. But the book warns against just settling for the first few ideas that come to mind.
Don't stop too soon.
Right. They have this toothpick exercise described. People brainstorm uses for a toothpick. The first list of ideas is usually okay. The second list gets a bit better, but it's the third list when people feel like they've run out of ideas and really have to push themselves. That's where the most novel and valuable ideas emerge. Persistence pays off. You likely have more good ideas in you than you think.
Push past the obvious.
Yeah.
So using the choice map, you might combine, say, for a better laptop mouse.
Yeah, you might combine an in-domain tactic like a keychain charger from one company or the ergonomics of a Logitech mouse.
Okay, familiar stuff.
With out-of-domain tactics. Maybe the thinness of a Discover card, the stickiness of a Post-it note, motion sensor technology from a completely different device.
So mixing and matching leads to more innovative possibilities.
Way more innovative than just trying to make the current mouse slightly better. But remember, it's quality over quantity in the end.
Right. So after generating lots of combinations,
you go back to your big picture score from step 3. You use those predefined criteria, your wants, your audience's wants. Third party wants to select the best combination. Does it solve the sub-problems? Is it better than what exists? Does it resonate? This ensures your idea isn't just novel, but actually useful and viable.
Okay. Selecting the best fit. And that leads to the final step, step 6, the third eye, which is about refinement.
Exactly. You've got your chosen combination, your idea, but what is it really? How do other people perceive it? This step is all about getting outside your own head.
Breaking out of the bubble.
Precisely. Paul McCartney and the song Yesterday is a great illustration.
How did that work?
Well, the melody famously came to him in a dream. He rolled it around in his head, played it for people asking if they'd heard it before, refined the lyrics himself.
Okay, solo work initially.
Then he played it for the other Beatles. Their feedback was, you should sing this one alone, Paul. But then the producer, George Martin, had another idea.
What was that?
Martin suggested adding a string quartet. McCartney was apparently surprised, even a bit resistant at first. But that addition, that outside perspective, ultimately made the piece feel complete, iconic. McCartney later said he and Martin just understood the same unspoken things about the song. They saw the same vision. It became a shared reality.
A shared reality. So the third eye isn't just feedback. It's about how others see your idea.
Yes. It's a real phenomenon in working memory. When you describe your idea, an image, a feeling, forms in the listener's mind. You're tapping into their perception to clarify your own. It's not about asking, do you like it, but what do you see?
Like that Walt Disney example.
Exactly. 4 artists paint one tree. Disney had 4 of his animators paint the exact same tree, and the results were wildly different. It shows how subjective perception is. Seeing how others perceive your idea helps you see it more clearly yourself.
Now, how do you use this third eye?
The book advises simply speaking your thoughts, your idea, aloud to someone. As they listen, their brain forms an image, a feeling. You then use exercises like playback.
Playback.
You ask the listener to describe your idea back to you in their own words. Don't correct them, just listen. It's a goldmine. It instantly shows you what parts are clear and memorable, and crucially, where the gaps are, what they misunderstood or missed. Those gaps tell you exactly where you need to refine.
Find the gaps. That's smart. What if...
And you also ask them to reimagine your idea. Give them total creative freedom. If this were your idea, what would you do with it? How would you change it? It's not a debate. You're not defending your idea.
You're just collecting perspective.
Exactly. You're harvesting insights, seeing how others might adapt or build upon your concept, giving you fresh angles you might never have considered.
Wow. Okay, so that's the 6 steps. We've really unpacked a lot today. From, busting those myths about creative genius.
Right, the lone genius, the flash of insight.
To laying out this practical, step-by-step roadmap from Think Bigger. We've seen how innovation isn't really about some mystical spark.
No, it's about strategic combination, persistent effort, and keeping that curiosity alive.
And what's really transformative, I think, is realizing that every single big idea, whether it's the Statue of Liberty or, a COVID vaccine, it's built from existing pieces just waiting to be combined in new ways.
It's like Isaac Newton said, standing on the shoulders of giants. You too, anyone listening, can consciously use what you already know, learn how to find new pieces, and combine them to solve problems and make a real impact.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? You now know this great secret that's been kind of hiding in plain sight, how our minds actually put together our best ideas.
It's not magic, it's a process. And the book has this great line, the longer you collect puzzle pieces, the easier the puzzle is to solve. Keep gathering those pieces.
Which leads us to maybe a final question for you to think about.
What problem have you always wanted to solve, but maybe you thought, oh, I'm not creative enough for that?
Now that you have this Think Bigger roadmap, maybe it's time to revisit that problem. Grab your mental kaleidoscope, give it a few turns.
And start thinking bigger.
Start thinking bigger about how you can change your world, or even just a small part of it, for the better. We really hope this deep dive has sparked your own inner innovator.
Hope it's given you some tools to work with.
Until next time, keep digging.